So there was paper towel on the table. That was very touching, very heartwarming, and a tough act to follow. So I'd like to extend my personal thank you and congratulations to all the volunteers being honored here tonight. In 1921, a Stanford University psychologist began a study that lasted for 8 decades. After his death, 2 other psychologists continued the study. The purpose was to find out what it took to live a long life. A key thing that relates to tonight and to the Foundation's work in general is that it's not what your friends and family do for you, it's what you do for them that counts. In this study, people who lend a helping hand, the ones who cared for their neighbors, the ones who others turn to for advice, lived the longest. So it's clear that all of you here know the secret to a long life. I'd like to share a few comments on the Rusk County Community Foundation. There are 30 community foundations in Wisconsin, so Rusk County is actually ahead of many counties in having this asset. In our county, we are connected by geography and to each other. Every community can grow an endowment. An endowed fund simply means that the principal, that's the amount of the original gift, is never touched, but it's invested to produce income. The foundation then uses that income every year to make grants to community nonprofits. An endowment is like a community savings account. Our foundation exists to help people achieve their charitable goals. Foundations are forever, they are flexible, and they fulfill a need. We're here to improve life, to serve a geographic area. We're governed by a local all-volunteer board. We give grants, and we build capital. Unlike nonprofits that sometimes focus exclusively on one issue, your community foundation supports the entire range of issues in our county. Philanthropy is a big word, and it essentially means giving your money away. Some famous modern-day philanthropists are Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. I recently saw another term that sounded much more practical, and that was being a giver-backer. The volunteers honored here tonight, and many of our other guests, are great examples of that. Philanthropy is a Greek word, and phios means loving, and anthropos means humanity or being human. People who are philanthropists have a love for people and a desire to make a difference. And I want to share the story of one of my role models and a true example of a giver-backer. Mady reminded me, this is my grandma Inga Peterson, and she had a tough life. She was widowed at my age, 57 years old, when my grandfather was killed in a freak accident. She had no income other than Social Security for the rest of her life, yet she was the first person to tuck money in an envelope for someone in need. She was a volunteer, a lifelong Sunday school teacher. She made countless quilts for Lutheran Rural Relief, and even when arthritis confined her to a reclining chair in her kitchen, she continued to put other people first, doing what she could from her kitchen table. Before she died, she had instructed her daughter that she'd find a little something for each of her children in the bottom of her freezer in a Band-Aid box, which is what fell on the floor. Sure enough, when she reached age 92 and died, the Band-Aid box was located, and in it was $4,000, or $1,000 for each of her children. For her to have set this aside, knowing how little she had, was amazing. Even more neat was that we know for a fact that at least several of the children, knowing of her sacrifice, in turn gave it away to the church's cemetery fund because they were always struggling to maintain the grounds. My grandma was humble and certainly would not have considered herself one, but she was a philanthropist. Rich or poor, philanthropists and giver-backers enjoy giving money away. Grandma always had a sense that there would be enough, and she shared what little she had. My reason for sharing this story is that it doesn't take wealth to be a giver-backer, but it does take sacrifice and a heart for wanting to see that others are taken care of. Rusk County continues to be one of the higher poverty, higher unemployment counties in the state. However, a transfer of wealth report conducted by Boston College states that Wisconsin and even Rusk County will have a substantial transfer of wealth in the next decade. Though the report was drafted in 1999, a recent update said that the authors still stand by this data, even though we've had an economic downturn, because the initial report was based on such a conservative return on investment. I am always concerned when I use the term wealth at an event like this, because my main message that I want to convey tonight is that we don't need wealthy people to grow the Rusk County Community Foundation. Obviously, that would be the easy route, but it's not how most community foundations grow. It's by people like my grandma Inga, who may not have had much, but she wanted to make a difference. It's also a known documented fact that rich people may not be the most generous. Middle-class people give a far bigger share of their discretionary income to charities than the rich. Neither affluence nor poverty is any measure of generosity of the spirit. Folks with modest means or even desperate means can be naturally philanthropic. Folks with tons of money may be stingy. Why do donors give? Some because they're passionate about a cause or an issue. Others give because they want to. Others do because they want to do good in their community. Many because they feel they should, and some because that's what they were taught. Many give because they were asked. We want to become the community's foundation and not just a community foundation, if you get the distinction. In 2007, we started with a gift from an anonymous donor. And soon after, there was another donor-advised fund. And then the Norda Fund. And then the Shane Jenna Special Needs Fund. And the Jack and Jackie Peterson Fund. And the School District of Ladysmith Educational Enrichment Fund. And the Rusk County Community Endowment Fund. And then we had the Founder Society Fund, the Women with Courage Fund, the Rusk County Community Library Endowment Fund, the Partners of Rusk County Memorial Fund, and then Larry and Shirley Dukerschein, Al Miller and Richard LaBelle, Kevin Smith and Rebecca Allen, Dennis Vanway, and Gordy and I all took the step to be members of the Legacy Circle, meaning that we all made the formal step to include the foundation in our estate planning. We're also on the brink of another larger fund that we expect to be able to announce shortly. And now, not just our community foundation began to grow, but our community's foundation. Behind every one of these funds or building blocks, there's a story, not just a statistic. It's our job as a foundation, if you're motivated to do it, is to help tell your story through a gift to the foundation. Since our inception in 2007, we are proud to say we have given out $41,106 in grants. You can see those dollars at work in projects that the schools have taken on, the recent community enhancement grants, scholarship money, support for many nonprofits that fill such a need in our community. These grants tell the story of the foundation and of the donors. The people who have started funds with the foundation don't just want to part with their money. They want to make a difference. Philanthropy is a way of life, and in some ways it is more important to the giver than to the receiver. Yes, the receiver derives benefit and relief and sustenance and opportunity, but the giver has yet another chance to become even more human. Sharing resources for these people is as natural as breathing. The Rusk County Community Foundation is a platform for growth that will support Rusk County nonprofits. It will be a platform for building community. Robert Kennedy Jr. said, "The future is not entirely beyond our control. It is the work of our own hands. The Rusk County Community Foundation will grow and thrive and give back in the form of grants for generations by the work of our own hands." We're available to meet with you or your organization in a no-pressure setting to explore the possibilities with you. Your program includes some details in our contact information. We have a display in the entry that is a little history of how far we've come. We've hoped that we've sparked some interest and planted a seed. For the foundation to grow, we're going to need to add more and more building blocks. Let us help you meet your charitable goals. Tell your story and make a difference here in Rusk County, the place you call home. Thank you.